This man pulled off one of the biggest scams in the history of scamming. Let me explain. Now, the man goes by the name Emmanuel, and at the time of this insane event, he worked as the director of Union Bank. His role involved overseeing the bank's operation and managing key aspects of their financial services, and most importantly, having access to bank information that regular staff couldn't even dream of. Now, during this time Mr. Emmanuel was working with Union Bank, something major happened. The capital of Nigeria was moved to another state called Abuja, and with that move, the government announced that they would be building major infrastructure projects, including the construction of a brand new international airport. When Emmanuel heard this info, he saw an opportunity not just to make money, but to become a millionaire overnight. And so he came up with a bold, reckless plan. He was going to sell a fake airport that doesn't exist and then vanish. But selling a non-existent airport wasn't going to be an easy job for Emmanuel to carry alone. He needed a team. So he brought together 5 other people. Each of them were already working in finance and banking. You know, people who understood the way the banking and finance system works and how to manipulate it. He laid out his plans to them to achieving the goal of selling the non-existing airport, and they all agreed. The plan was simple, dangerous, but brilliant. They would create fake identities pretending to be high-ranking Nigerian government officials and use those identities to approach wealthy foreign investors. They would promise the investor ownership rights in the new airport, shares in future profits, and so much more, so as to lure the investor into investing in the airport. And the moment they invested, they would disappear with the money. That was the plan. So Emmanuel took on the identity of the central bank governor. His partner Ikechukwu posed as a senior official in the same bank. Another, Tafida, became a high-ranking figure in the Ministry of Aviation. The other 3 took on equally convincing roles, and together they began their operation. Through financial networks, they eventually reached a man named Mr. Nelson Sakaguchi, a respected Brazilian bank director, and just like that, the pitch was made. They told him he would own a stake in Nigeria's new international airport if he built it, that he would have full operational privileges, the bank he represented would earn prestige, and that he personally would get a $10 million commission. This deal was too good for Nelson to pass on, and so he agreed to invest in this fake project. Without telling any of the higher ups at the bank where he works at, Nelson started sending money, millions of dollars, for an airport that didn't exist. In total, he sent $242 million. Meanwhile, Emmanuel and his crew were living their best lives with the money Nelson was sending. They acquired luxury homes, fast cars, offshore accounts packed with the stolen money, and then they were sending Nelson fake proofs of the airports being built. And you know, everything was going smooth until Yawa gas. Back at the Brazilian bank, the top executives began to notice something off. Large sums of money were missing, and when they interrogated Nelson, he confidently told them that the money was tied up in a major investment that would soon pay off. However, the executives wanted proof. International investigators got involved, and while investigating, it was then they, alongside Nelson, discovered that this whole project was a big scam. There was no project, no airport, just a massive, elaborate scam. Soon after, the EFCC was alerted about the crime. They swooped in and arrested Emmanuel and his entire gang. They confiscated some of their assets, sold them, and returned the money back to the Brazilian bank. But it wasn't up to the $242 million they scammed them off. Around 2004, Mr. Emmanuel and his gang were sentenced to jail, with the highest sentence which was received by Emmanuel being 5 years. Let me say that again. They stole $242 million, and the highest sentence they received was 5 years, according to reports. Follow me for more crazy stories.